Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top Cinco Pod. Top Cinco Pod. Top Cinco.
What are you doing? I'm at the local, bro.
Yeah, so I won't say anything about that. But now the cops.
Welcome to another episode of the Top Cinco Pod. We've been missing for a little bit, but I am back again. So welcome, Jimmy, to another episode. Thank you for joining us.
Back again. Always good to be here. Was I the last guest? Last guest as well?
Yeah, you were the last guest, mate. You were the last.
I said it on socials and I'll say it again. I am an absolute shoo-in for guest of the year. I don't think it's even up for debate at this point. I don't think it's even up for debate. But, we'll let the fans decide, of course.
Doing your thing. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. But before we crack on, don't forget to like, follow, share and subscribe on the platforms, which are obviously YouTube, and that's on Instagram as well. And you will see bits and bobs floating around on TikTok as well. Plenty of clips on there for you to like and follow on there as well, at Top Cinco Pod. Let's get into it. Jimmy, so The weekend was an interesting one. We obviously had the cup final, League Cup final, which we will get into because we've been hearing about it every day since Sunday. But over the weekend there were a matter of a few games in the Premier League, and there were other teams that were fighting for survival, teams that were chasing European football still, and we'll get started with Everton and West Ham because Moyes went back. West Ham came to Goodison Park. That would be their last game at Goodison Park before obviously the new Goodison's up and running next season, and it was even Stevens 1-1. I would say it's probably a fair result. When I looked at the game, there were a few chances. But I think Everton will be the most happy with that point. What do you think in terms of Moyes obviously being ahead of West Ham as well, previously being there?
Yeah, it's funny how it's all played out for him, hasn't it? I thought it was pretty awful that West Ham got rid of him when they did, because it was just, I don't know, it was just like, and I do feel sorry for Moyes and sometimes British managers in general, because they're just, I guess, not as sexy like as a name as like some of these European managers that get brought in. But it was a huge mistake, for the most part. On not a huge mistake, that's probably wrong, but it looks like it was an error, in my opinion, on West Ham's part. But for Everton, how great is it? How good is it? Like the hero, I love it when people go back. Successful people go back to the place they had success and are successful again. I'm talking Thierry Henry when he came back for that one game and scored against Leeds in the cup. I don't care what team you support. I don't care. You gotta love that moment. You have to love that. Cristiano Ronaldo on that game, his return debut against Newcastle, scoring twice. Like, how can you? You don't have to love United or whatever, but just to go, how fucking awesome is that? It's great moments, and it rarely happens with coaches. It often goes the other way. Where it's not as successful as the first time. So, and that may end up, that could still be the case, but as of right now, it looks great. And I actually loved Sean Dyche as well. I was a big Dyche fan just because of the sound bites. Like he gives that gravelly voice. So I was a fan. So, but happy for good for Everton. Yeah, I think like you say, I think fair result. I think both of them probably would have taken it going into the game as well. I don't think either would have been hugely disappointed by that. Yeah.
Well, West Ham took the lead in that game as well. It was a late goal from Everton, so they probably will feel a little bit hard done by. But like I said, even Stevens. Moving on to Ipswich, Nottingham Forest. Forest inflicted more pain on Ipswich. Another home defeat for Ipswich. They've really struggled at home this season. It looks like all of the three that came up are going to go back down. We did speak about it at the start of the season, which we will revisit again at the end of the season and then touch on all our predictions. But 4-2 to Forest, and they're still flying, mate.
Yeah, they're having one hell of a season. Again, it's quite nice seeing, again, kind of like, not the same thing, but a historical club making a bit of a comeback right now. And not just because, I mean, they do have some money, to be fair, their owners, but they're not like what they're up against, what they're competing against. So, it's awesome. No, good for them. This was,
The vibes there as well are insane. Them lot in the changing rooms are enjoying themselves, man. And you just see them
so
like
they should.
week in, week out. And it's like it's clearly like flowing through onto the pitch as well. The way that they're just like they're almost like brothers on the pitch. They're all there. They're there for each other, and it's it's not the most. It might not be the most attractive to watch, but when they're on that counter, well, they're dangerous and they're fast as well. Man. So they can let you have the ball, and you can pop it around them and all that. But as soon as they get that ball, they're going that way, mate. And it's literally it can be quite exciting to watch at times when they're just breaking with such speed with Alanga, Hudson-Odoi, and then just feeding Wood. You got
Chris Wood.
Pause. Then you've obviously got what's his name, Gibbs White as well, who's in there and he's doing bits as well, which we'll talk about for the England setup as well shortly. Moving on to the next game was City against Brighton. That was an interesting game because obviously Brighton are pushing for that Champions. I want to say they're pushing for that Champions League because they are literally on 47 points. Newcastle are on 47 points. City are on 48 and Chelsea are on 49. That's how tight it is. So they're definitely pushing, and that's a draw against Man City away from home as well. What were you saying?
I've said this. This will be the third time I've said this, I think, on this show. Like, Brighton are such a serious outfit now. Like, they really can't beat anyone. Like, whilst it was a great result for Brighton, it didn't shock you that they drew at all. Like, and it should. 3 years ago, Brighton drawing against City would have been like, whoa, like that's a hell of a result for Brighton. Now it's just like, oh yeah, that was a good result. That was a decent result.
That's the way they're moving, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. Again, just like
new manager as well. I think we keep forgetting. Like, this is his first season with Brighton. He's younger than us, mate.
Is he actually younger than us? I didn't realise that. I thought he was like this. Well, same age. How old is he?
Yo, I'm pretty sure, that he's younger than us.
Oh no, mate! I started. That doesn't feel good. Coaches are now younger than us. I don't like that.
So he's 32. He was 32 on the 26th of February.
Okay, so he's like we're the same age, and he's 2 months older than me.
Oh
wait, no, the February just gone.
No, February just gone, bro. 93.
Oh fuck! I'm a year older than him. No way.
Yeah, and that's what he's doing. And we play Football Manager. We've been there. We've been in the trenches.
I was playing Football Manager like in the last week. I've played Football Manager.
He's living the dream.
I don't like that, but no, amazing.
What a G.
Good for him. Yeah.
Yes, what a G. Southampton, Wolverhampton. 2-1 to Wolves. Big win for them. I think that pretty much like has cemented like who's gonna be staying up again this season. Who's gonna be going down, like we said, in terms of the teams. So that was a big win for Wolves, to be fair. Strand Larsen boy getting on the score sheet, double, missing Cunha as well. So that was a big win for Wolverhampton. So Brentford and Bournemouth, that was the same scoreline as well, but that was 2-1 to Brentford, inflicting a home defeat on Bournemouth. Bournemouth seem to be are they running out of gas now?
But that was to be expected because if you saw, especially when you look at the table, there's other teams that are also having surprise runs. Your Forest, for example, Brighton and Fulham are way higher up in the table than Brighton not so much, but Fulham 100%. Higher up in the table. So it's like there can only be a certain amount of teams that have a good. Do you know what I mean? That are gonna. So like running out of steam is probably harsh because to be is ridiculous. Like for them, like in my opinion, but
it's because they put themselves in that position though. That's the thing with.
I know.
That's the thing in football. When you put yourself in that position, you're setting yourself up to get knocked down.
I know. But do you think there's anyone involved with Bournemouth, from the fans to the players, that if you said to them 29 games in, you're sat 10th, they wouldn't fucking snatch your hand off like immediately? Like, I don't think there would be any Bournemouth fans that would have any issue whatsoever. Like, I know what you mean. They are dropping off, and at the end of the day, if they finish in the top half, this season will be remembered as that. It will be probably their best ever finish, maybe even, I don't know, in the Prem, definitely in Premier League years.
They could be on course. Maybe
back in 1978 they finished 5th or whatever, but certainly in modern history, that's they've done. I think it's a great season. If they don't go down for them, that's a win. Anything in the top half is ridiculous. You don't belong there, respectfully.
I think they're going to get. They should be able to, like, they might be able to get conference, man. Like, if they keep going, like, they've still got players injured as well. Getting them back.
I know what you're saying, but if you look, like, United and Tottenham aren't a million. I think United or Tottenham will finish higher than them by the end of the season. One of those two teams, if not both, should be.
One of those two teams are going to get something.
I think there's a good chance. There's a good chance both of them finish above Bournemouth still. In my opinion, but I think definitely one's going to finish above them.
Let's see. That will be interesting to see. That will be interesting to see. You mentioned Fulham. Fulham beat Tottenham 2-0 at home. Massive win for them.
Yeah.
Puts them in 8th. They're literally, like I said, only 3 points behind Man City, who are in 5th. 4 points behind Chelsea in 4th. What a mad season that is for Fulham and Marco Silva.
They made some great signings over the summer, though.
Do you see them going any higher than 8th right now? Do you think they would be happy with an 8th finish, with them being so close after so many games, like 29 games, like they're all on now?
I think they should be happy if they finish 8th. I think, as a Fulham fan, that should be an incredible season. But I think the difference with Fulham is I feel like they could do better next year if another signing or two. They could do even better. Whereas I wonder with the other teams, have they hit their top of where they're going to go?
Peak.
Their peak. If they hit their peak. Whereas
Fulham have got to keep Robinson as well, the left back. I think he's been massive for them this season. Like,
but they have got some really good Smith Rowe. They've got some really good young players in the team that I think are only going to get better. So I don't see why they couldn't finish 6th or 7th next season, as an example, or like become the new Brighton in that teams where they're like a bogey team for everybody.
The new Brighton, that's what we're calling these teams now that are doing a madness in the Premier League. Brighton have set that. The other two games that were in the Premier League on Sunday were Arsenal, Chelsea, and Leicester, Man United. So both our teams. I will quickly go over mine because it wasn't anything to rant and rave about. Both teams playing without a striker, which is an interesting one when you think about it. Two big rivals, no striker. 1-0 to Arsenal kind of sums it up. Moreno on the score sheet again for us. Doing bits. Doing a job for the team, I can say. That was again another big win for Arsenal. Chelsea are in a bit of a slump still at the moment. I guess it's good that they went through the run that they did because
they'd be down with us.
They went on early on in the season basically because
they'd be down with us if they hadn't, for sure.
It's absolutely mad, and the fact that they're still 4th, it has me thinking, like, from time to time, like, imagine if they hadn't hit this slump, or if they if they picked up those 3 points instead of that one in a couple of those draws and that, like, they'd be up there, boy, applying pressure. So maybe it'll be interesting to see what they're going to kick on and do next season. Maybe they are just a couple of guys away.
I've got a question for you, because that's probably on to a point as someone again that's played a decent level with. Maresca at the start of the season, or when they went on that run, remember, and they were really close to like Liverpool, and it looked like they were going to be contenders for the title. Yeah. Maresca was very quick to be like, categorically, we are not title contenders and we're not ready for it. Now, I remember thinking, you don't have to say we're title contenders, but there's a different way to word that where it doesn't sound quite so damning towards your team. Whereas I don't know, as a player, I wouldn't like that as my coach saying, no, we're miles off. We're miles off now being ready for I wondered if for you, would it mean anything to you, or would you just be like, fuck it, I don't care what he says? Sort of
No, I think it's kind of just, I know that he's just playing the game with the media. I don't know if in the back of his mind whether he actually thinks that, whether he rates himself, whether he knows. But I think like when managers play it down, it's definitely like in the media because they know that anything they say can and will be used against them. Kind of like what the police say when they're arresting.
That's exactly
you know what I mean? Like, can and will be used against you in evidence. Like this is what the journalists are on, bro. So you've got to be careful
Imani's
about
been
what you
watching some
say.
crime dramas. Clearly, he's been watching some crime drama on Netflix.
It's facts, though. It is.
It is.
You see it. You see it, and like, Ange's going to suffer from that. If he don't win a trophy, he's definitely the one. That's the prime example of it.
For sure.
That's the prime example. Your boys beat Leicester away. Big goal for Højlund. I won't say a big win because it was against Leicester, but a big goal for Højlund, mate.
The thing is, at the moment, any win's a big win for us in the moment because we need results for confidence more than anything else. Like really, good result against Sociedad. Two wins on the bounce. I mean, I was trying to remember when that last happened. I'm not even joking.
How does it feel?
It felt fantastic. One of them was I was on the way to Edmonton when we were playing Sociedad, so I was keeping up with it in the car, and then I was on the way home for the Leicester game. And I was like, every time United play, I'm going to drive to Edmonton. Because there's clearly a good luck charm. like me, every time I'm in the car for a 3-hour trip, we get a win. So yeah, no, good. I had to watch the game afterwards, but yeah, I know it's Leicester, and of course, but yeah, for Højlund, really well taken goal. Garnacho back on the score sheet as well. He had a similar drought in terms of how many games he hadn't scored in.
And Bruno scoring again.
Do you know what I love about it? Because I think we spoke about it.
4 goals, 2 games.
Last episode with how much shit he gets, and since then he has been on such a tear. Ever since Roy Keane said that about him, he's been on an absolute tear. So every time Bruno has a dip in form, if we could just get Roy Keane to talk shit, that'd be great.
That'd be great for you, like that'd be great.
Yeah. But man, what a captain! What a captain! I won't have any slander. I've already tried to tell Anna if we have another son, I want to call him Bruno, and she said no.
Nah. Think about the film, innit? Think about the film. Anyway, we've got the last matter of Sunday to go here. That was the cup final. Newcastle jubilation. It seems like everyone is talking about it. It's been obviously days since the cup final, and you've never seen a League Cup. I've never seen a League Cup final where the winning team is still being spoken about. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, fair play to them. It's a great moment for them, but I think that everyone's kind of over it now. Do you know what I mean?
I had to, because I was really pleased for them as well. Like I was like.
Yeah,
I mean,
legit. Like, I'm not even taking that away from them. Like the way that what it meant for the players, the fans. Like
I know, but like I don't think
we've seen them get relegated. Like Mike Ashley put them lot in the mud. Like I did not think that I'd see them lot win a League Cup, especially.
I know, and for the fans, I'll let them, because some of them have never seen Newcastle ever win a trophy. Like I get it, but the players crying on the pitch for a League Cup win
Bruno was booing.
He was booing, brother. Like, and it's like he was saying, I think I've made my family proud. And I was like, I'm not sure the League Cup's going to do that. I think that if their rival would have been,
he's won a major in the English Football League, mate. Maybe you used to watch that as a kid.
I know he's probably being a little. It's just an expression, but it's like. That won't be the difference between your family loving you or not. I hope you do still. I hope you felt love anyway. Because the League Cup isn't. But I think sometimes you just. And I think fantastic for Eddie Howe as well. Seeing an English manager win a trophy is awesome.
Yeah. Because the English managers get slandered as well. We've spoken about English managers.
And it's often. It's hard to ever. That argument of like whether English coaches can get it done is a hard argument to make when none of them win anything. Like it's hard. It's a hard. So it's just good. It's just good to see one of our best and most talented coaches actually get a big club across the line. So congrats to Newcastle and Saudi Arabia. Good job.
Chiesa got on the score sheet as well. Quick mention for him because he's been he's been the missing man. I feel like he's a player that I don't even know if Arne even wanted him. Like it seems like one of those that it was just like, oh yeah, this guy he's available for this amount. Like take him in because of his football CV, and he hasn't really done much or hasn't really had a chance either. So maybe if Liverpool wrap up the league in the next couple of games, he might get a couple more minutes because he needs them to get a medal.
I think there's a very, very talented footballer within him. I
was a big fan of him at Juve.
Yeah, and seeing him for that Italy when they won the Euros, he was ridiculous as well. So I definitely want to see him. I hope he does stay and does find some form because it's pretty. It's so harsh. It's kind of unfair to judge players a lot of the time in their first year in the Prem because it is so different to Italian football, and you can see that by the players. Scott McTominay looks like one of the best midfielders in Serie A. Okay, and yet he was a bench player for Man United. So it's like. Yeah, and what's there, Gilmore as well. Like these aren't bad players by any means, but they look like world beaters over there. Lukaku looked like one of the best strikers in the world in Italy, and yet he looks like a fucking absolute donkey in the Premier League. So, So I'd like to give him more time. I think he's talented. I hope he, even though it would be for Liverpool, or maybe he goes to another club. That would be best for me. Actually, he signs for another team and then does really well.
You had your year, didn't work out, mate. Just keep it moving. Sorry, boy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who needs to forget about that cup final when it wasn't really working for him was Mo Salah. It's another final. The stats. The sad thing is about Mo Salah in the cup final, the stats don't really lie. There's been multiple finals. It's only really been, from what I can see here, a goal and an assist out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, he didn't play in one of them, which was the Carabao Cup final last year. He was injured. 9 finals he's been in. That's pretty impressive though as a player, like to be in 9 finals. 1 goal and 1 assist, and he's a player that we like to talk about a lot and say like he's a world class player. But that's not really good enough, is it, for a player that?
No, not at all. And that's I think you hear people and it's kind of because if you look at mentioning stats, if you just looked at Salah's stats, there should be no question at all whether he's a world class player. Okay, there shouldn't be like that, but people do question that a lot with him. Whether you hear it in debates on TalkSport and other shows.
Dean, you said this week you don't think he is.
Some people will say, obviously, some people come straight to his defence and say, I've always been on this weird middle ground where I'm like, I'm not sure because sometimes you see him and it's like, wow, yeah, but he does the same things a lot, like, but he does them very, very well. He does what
very,
he does
very well. Repetition.
I'll say this though, like all-time greats, real all-time greats turn up in finals and turn up in not just big games, finals. They turn up. Okay, like. I mean, even if you exclude like the Ronaldo's, Messi's, they do. I mean, Drogba is the prime example of this. And another example I'll use, someone who I don't think gets anywhere near enough credit, actually looking back, is Thierry Henry. Like for Arsenal fans, he will, but I think he should be lauded a lot higher. But it's because he didn't like. I can't think of
That's
like a final.
Actually mad that you said. I was literally about to say the one other player that I would say was a world class player in my eyes, but. He used to get battered for this. Was Thierry Henry for not turning up in finals? He didn't do it. That's what the journalists got onto him for, and he was known for that as well. And it seems like that's what people are going to say about Salah. But then Henry had so many magical moments, and Salah's had so many magical moments. But then some people will say Henry was easy on the eye. He did stuff that made him look elegant, and he was amazing to watch. Salah's just ruthless. He's just a shooter. He's just a scorer.
I don't think there's, in my opinion, I don't think Mo Salah's anywhere near as good as Thierry Henry. I think there's a huge gap between those two, and we're talking about what Thierry didn't do, and maybe why he's not in the R9 category or the things like that. And it's because those players just had Ronaldo had goals in the World Cup final, the literal biggest game you can play. and he dominated. Like, he took the game. And
Is it like
there was no
the only other thing I could think is it testament to like because they were such big players, like the other team had a game plan for them in that one game. That one-off game was a final. They'd done their homework. The other team managed to, stick it on them, or is it just like we still see world-class players have a little moment, or there's like a second where you'll see them do something, or they'll just have that one moment and then they'll be quiet for the rest of the game.
Maybe, but you also, every game at that level, there'll be a game plan somewhat on an individual basis. It might not be, you're going to man mark this guy, but you'll have instructions on how to deal kind of with each individual, I'd expect. And certainly that every big name has dealt with that in every final then. Like, in terms of someone going, right, we need to do something about this person. And then it's the great players that go, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. I'm still going to make sure we win. And I say in Salah, I just think it's always when it really matters. I remember seeing him in when they played that final against Real Madrid, and he I knew he wasn't going to do anything, and then he just got his shoulder bust super quick. And then
Ramos, and Ramos injured him.
It was just funny. It was just it was so from the minute that game started, Liverpool started well, and I was like, none of this is going to mean anything. Real Madrid are definitely going to win this game. This pressure doesn't mean anything right now. And I don't know, with Salah, I just think that's it. When it's people aren't going to remember back, do you remember how many goals and assists he got that season? That's not how you look back at football. You look back and go, you remember,
the games, the moments.
But it's the big moments. And it's why... Suarez is the same. Suarez didn't have a single goal against the Big Six when he played for Liverpool. Not one. Not one goal against the Big Six. But he bagged 2 hat-tricks against Norwich, and people were talking about him like he was the greatest striker the Premier League had ever seen. It's like, hang on a minute.
But they were quality hat-tricks as well.
Aguero will be remembered forever because of that moment against QPR.
Yeah.
Forever. Because even the commentary...
Manchester City fans, 100%. Aguero!
Not just City fans. I'm going to fucking remember that shit. As a United fan, I fucking hate that shit. It's one of the worst things.
That haunted you, boy. He haunted you.
Haunts me.
What a striker he was,
when I thought his heart had stopped, I celebrated. And then he came back to life and, he just stopped playing football. I was like, fuck.
You
got rid of him. No, that wasn't true.
What a striker he was, by the way.
But no, I think that's Salah's big problem. Just to find that is just, if you don't perform in big games, you're not going to be. You can be considered a very good and maybe a legend for your club that you've played for, but other fans aren't going to really care that much about you. Yeah,
fair play. Before we finish, what we'll do, we'll finish on the England squad because I want to talk about internationals as well. There's a couple of good games on over the next few days. Let's go to Bum of the Week. I'll go first because I think that. I've got one, but then there's someone else that I kind of want to... Who ran him close this week, but he might be your choice from our pre-chat. So, obviously, you didn't tell me who it was, but my one, I still have to... Even though he won his European game and, Tottenham have remained in the competition, it was a big win for them, but they've then followed it up with a defeat in the league, and it's their 15th. Their 15th defeat in the league, mate. 1-5. Big Tottenham Hotspur,
Over half their games
that's
lost.
Absolutely ridiculous. You can't be losing 15 games in the Premier League. I'm sorry. No. Not a team of that status, man. I'm Arsenal, right? I should be laughing. I should be creasing and absolutely loving it. But just talking about football, like any club that's of that and up, and is considered a big club. 15 is way too much. So for me, he has to take the crown because that's again, that's also against a rival club as well, being Fulham, and Fulham are above them in the league, and it looks like they're going to finish above them, and Fulham just look miles better than them in this moment in time, and that's another crazy thing to say because when you've watched football over the years, you've always seen. Fulham is the ones that were kind of like, the dead ones out of, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Fulham. But Fulham are actually like, you know what? We need to let people know and make people stand up and check us, and that's what they're doing.
Also,
So
if you argue with a fan after you've lost, then he was my number 2. He was my 2 bum of the week.
That's a very good point as well. So bum of the week, but there was a guy that was running him close. His name is Arne Slot, and that's because it's 2 cup defeats in 1 week. If it was anyone else, we would be onto him. We would be saying exactly the same thing. So I think we need to just make sure that we keep the same energy for him, just because it's his first season. It's two defeats in the week, unfortunately for him. PSG, they were just up against a more superior team at the end of the day, over 2 legs. It kind of showed. So, I think Liverpool fans will take that one on the chin. The cup final, it just looked like that Liverpool had kind of just decided that, we're going to let Newcastle have this one, or there was an arrogance about them that we could turn up and we're still good enough to beat them with what we've got. And it just stunk, mate. It just stunk. So that's the one that was running close. But who's your one, mate?
So you said it there. Arne Slot. Arne Slot's my bum of the week. I definitely get you. PSG look fucking good this season. I will say that they look very, very good.
Very, very
hilariously, considering they got rid of that. The final piece of that famous front 3 is now gone, and they're playing way better, way
better football. The football crazy.
Way better football. Like their wingers are like, it's like watching football from 15 years ago. The way their wingers play, they're actually just trying to play as wingers. It's beautiful. I love it. Can't believe I'm saying this. I love watching PSG, which I haven't, because it was just
never thought you would say, right?
Yeah, because it was just they were the enemy. It was just like you just bought success, and yet they don't. Even though they still have done that to a certain extent, but like not any more or less than anyone else.
It looks nice to watch now, and it looks like it's going to be paying off. Not that it wasn't the front 3 that they had before wasn't nice to watch, but they still ended up falling short. Like in certain aspects, and they just didn't look on the European stage.
Yeah, they weren't even getting that close on the European. It was
That's what it was.
Maybe they got to 1 semi, but everything else was like so. But I will say this: if you're top of the Premier League, you shouldn't be looking at the top of the French team like that's not a. You should be giving them, in my opinion, a closer.
You should be giving them a good game,
you should be giving them a better game than you did. I think you should be giving them a better game than you did. They did do the same. They did a very similar thing to City in the PSG in the groups, but again, City are having a miles off the pace at the moment. So hopefully you accept it. You'll move, like you say, you'll move on from PSG. You'll go, do you know what? We're top of the league. We've got a cup final on the weekend. And then, a pretty lackluster, it doesn't, like this, it did not seem like Liverpool were playing in a cup final on Sunday. It seemed like they were playing pre-season friendly almost. Like, it was a weird... I could say
the intensity didn't really seem to be there.
It's hard. I don't want to say they didn't care, because it's like hard to say that about a professional.
Because it's a cup final, right? And
exactly. I don't want to say that seems way over the top, or like I'm sure they would all disagree and be like, actually, I did care, but something was missing there. Something was off, and I think obviously that combined with Newcastle would have been so fucking up for it. But Newcastle played well. They didn't play brilliant. Like, it wasn't like Newcastle.
Maybe they got cut a little. Maybe they got cut a little bonus to throw the game or something, because that Saudi money's long.
It is. Yeah. That's true. Maybe. I'd fucking lose the final for that. I've got a price.
Hush, like you take this over that.
Throw me some Saudi money.
That's a disrespect.
I'll leave everything right now if I get a sprinkle of Saudi money. I'm off. See you
later. You're gonna start doing podcasts there for their guys.
Yeah, exactly. I'll work for Visit Saudi Arabia, the tourism board or whatever. I'll do whatever they want. Just throw me the money. Show me the money and I'll do it, fellas. I promise. Just didn't feel like they were at the races that day. And they paid for it. And then when you then look back at it. Like, again, I know it's not Liverpool that said this, it's Liverpool fans talking about the quad, then it was talking about the treble, and then it was talking about a double, and now it's all just gone. Obviously, winning the Premier League is still amazing, and most teams are always going to accept.
That's what they want as well, let's be real. They want it in front of their fans. They want it in the COVID year. It wasn't the same. obviously they still got the title to their name, but this is going to hit different for them. So I think that's what they've really been kind of focused on. Like you said, it's not fair to their fans to say that they don't care. Obviously, and clearly they do, and they did. But it's just the way that the cookie crumbles in football sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So there we go. That was the weekend's football wrapped up. Let's move into the international, which is going to be for the next week for us. Before we get into the England squad, let's talk about the games that are coming up, because internationals get knocked quite a bit, and we're always like, oh yeah, it's boring. There's a few decent fixtures before we get into Tuchel's first squad and some surprises there. You've got Holland against Spain tomorrow. You've got Argentina against Brazil is actually at 1 a.m. tonight. Croatia against France tomorrow. Saturday, you've got Uruguay against Argentina. It's a big one. Italy against Germany Thursday. Friday, Brazil against Colombia. Denmark against Portugal Thursday. So there are some good games. Some games that are definitely worth watching, that's for sure. Like, obviously, it's not the same when the Premier League isn't on, but there's definitely some games that are worth keeping an eye on. Let's get into Tuchel's squad. Let's go with one of the biggest surprises there. Let's go with Dan Burn, because you talk about England debutants, right? I managed to find this little thing here on Sky Sports Football, and he is going to be the second oldest England debutant if he does obviously make his appearance. He's 32 years and 301 days old. The oldest is Kevin Davis, by the way. He was 33 years and 200 days. Remember big Kev Davis, mate?
Of course, how could you not?
The fact that he got a little... the fact that he got a little nod there, mate, was absolutely brilliant. Well, we say brilliant. He wasn't brilliant. He was, when you look back and you think, like, how did Kevin Davis manage to get a little cap for England? Is absolutely hilarious. The other names on these England debutants, by the way, oldies. Leon Osman, 31 years. He was 181 days. Ricky Lambert, 31 years, 179 days. And then you got Chris Parrell, 31 years and 173 days. He was all the way back in February 2001. All the others were between 2010 and Dan Burn, obviously 2025 now. A couple of other surprises. What were the surprises for you?
Well, Jordan Henderson is a fucking ridiculous inclusion, in my opinion. Like, ridiculous. Utterly fucking ridiculous. And I understand, like, what the thing I understand with Dan Burn is, right, he's actually playing quite well, and there is an issue with Tuchel has only been given 18 months, which I don't understand. Maybe that's all he wanted.
That's what he wanted. Yeah, maybe
he only wants to do international football for 18 months.
Maybe he just wanted one major competition.
Yeah, like fine. So his whole objective is win the World Cup. That's it. It's not build the next generation of players, or let me try and get some players embedded into the team now, so in 2 years' time they're ready to go. Everyone he has to pick has to be with mind that they could be coming to the World Cup and to win the World Cup, and fine. That's absolutely fine. But Jordan fucking Henderson isn't getting you anywhere near it. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is crazy to think that player. Like, I would honestly, and this will sound harsh. I would rather just take a player less. I'll take a player less. I'll take an extra fucking dinner lady with me. Like, what is the point? What is the point of taking Jordan Henderson?
Who are you taking over him? That was going to be my next question. If you had to choose.
Oh, I mean, I don't know who's necessarily fit. I would take a young player, Kobe Mainoo or something. Just someone young.
Would you maybe take Conor Gallagher?
Yeah, I would take Conor Gallagher over him. Easy. No problem. Conor Gallagher's playing for Atletico Madrid, who are in a title race. Fucking Jordan Henderson's arguing with Dutch fucking journalists in a press conference. What are we talking about? How is this comparable? How is it comparable?
Oh, that was actually hilarious as well.
It was so funny. But like, he's been playing in Saudi and the Netherlands. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's
yeah. He's divided a lot of opinion. He's divided a lot of opinion with that one. The rest of the midfield is Bellingham, Eze, Curtis Jones, Cole Palmer. But then Cole Palmer got replaced,
got injured.
With Morgan Gibbs White. So fair play to him for actually getting in, because I think he was unfortunate to miss out. Then you've got Declan Rice and Morgan Rogers as well.
Yeah.
So that's a decent looking midfield. Up front, you've got Jared Bowen. He's been in form.
Yeah.
Phil Foden, he's not having a great season, to be honest, but he's in there on name. Let's be honest.
He's having more than not a great season. He's having a fucking shocker of a season, really.
Yeah.
Like, he looks rubbish.
Stinky.
He looks rubbish.
No holding back, yeah. No holding back. Smelly season. Because considering what he won last season as well, wasn't he a PFA player of the year? You was like, yeah, no, mate. How can you go from that to this?
Yeah, but also that I don't understand, like, why City fans City fans were so, like, for me, like, okay, I will say that Rodri should have been the Ballon d'Or winner, in my opinion. I think he was the most critical part of his team's success in the last year, both internationally and the domestic level. But where was all the City fans saying, like, uproar that Rodri didn't win the PFA? Like, I don't know. It seemed weird that they were like, he's definitely the Ballon d'Or winner, but he wasn't good enough to win the PFA award. It's like, all right.
Maybe they knew. They were just happy.
It makes total sense. But I didn't think Phil Foden deserved to win it when he won it. I was a bit like, I feel like they're just giving it to an English player.
To an English, yeah. That's that's been like that for a few. I'm not saying consecutively, but that's happened over a period of time where people have felt that. The other forwards that have been selected, Anthony Gordon, definitely in there on merit. He's been good this season. Harry Kane, just, gunman. Marcus Rashford and Dominic Solanke. What do we think about Rashford getting back in there? Do you think that was a bit too soon from Tuchel, or he just knows who Rashford is and he's not going to go by what's been happening on a club level and it almost seemed personal level between him and the manager?
Well, if you're going on form, he's in form. If you're going on natural talent, he's got plenty of that. And I don't think he's going to start either. So for me, he's just, it's like, bring him in. Let's have a look at him.
So it's not too controversial for you?
No, not at all. I think if you're looking at whose spot has he taken, is what I'd say. Like, who on current form should be there? And English forward that should be there over Rashford. I don't think there's really one. So yeah, no, I good for him. But it's all about consistency, my friend. It's not. It's all good doing it for a few games or a handful of games. You've got to do it the whole year.
You've got to do it, yeah, so exactly. So we'll see.
Let's see. But I think at best he comes on as a substitute. I would be shocked if he starts Tuchel's first game. I would be shocked.
I don't think I'm not too sure he'll be starting either. But I guess we'll see the way he trains as well. And then we've got the defenders and the goalkeepers to finish with. Before I get into, we'll finish on the goalkeepers because I think it's just a bit of a weird one in terms of the number there. But you've got Dan Burn. Obviously, we mentioned that. You've got Colwell. You've got Mark Gay, Reece James, Ezri Konsa, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Tino Livramento, Jarell Konsa, and Carl Walker. Not many white brothers in there. From what I've just read out, if I'm being completely honest, that's a very quick observation. You know what? When I was watching England many years ago, or when I first started watching England, I did not think I would be seeing that many brothers in the defense.
I think it was funny because in our generation, it was like Ashley Cole kind of stood out for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was the black defender amongst white defenders, right? Like, and now it's like, it's the other way.
Yo, like, I just reading out those names. You're like, yo.
Yeah, no.
What I was going to say, so we finish on like the goalkeepers. Obviously, there's 4 goalkeepers first and foremost. Like, what's that about? I don't understand why there needs to be 4 goalkeepers.
That tells me that what it looks like to me is he really isn't sure on Pickford.
like really isn't sure, and isn't sure on who the number 2 is. So I think he's like, let me bring in 4 goalkeepers and take a proper look at who I believe are the 4 most talented goalkeepers we've got, and I'm going to decide from there. But that tells me he's not convinced on any of them, is what that looks like to me. Because we would say Pickford. We would only say Pickford because he typically always starts for England.
Always starts,
So
yeah. But then we never see anyone else get a chance to play for England. Even with the old manager, it was always Pickford, even in friendlies and that. And he would always
I'll say Pickford for England he does play very well for England. Like he
is great, he does turn up for his country for sure.
But
other goalkeepers,
I don't know if Jordan Pickford will be the goalie that wins England the World Cup either, if you know what I mean, or wins us.
Yeah,
that would be. I don't know, but then if I look at any of them, I mean, I don't think it's Ramsdale either. Like, do you know? So it's getting a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, then you got James Trafford,
I think Dean
Burnley
Henderson's a very
goalkeeper.
good goalkeeper.
You don't think Dean Henderson is?
No, I think he is. I think he's a very capable
goalkeeper.
goalkeeper.
Think he is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if it was me and I was Tuchel, I would start. That would be who I'd want to make my number 1.
Is Henderson better than Trafford for you?
I
know Trafford. Everyone's talking about him because he's had a record number of clean sheets, but 1, it's the Championship, and 2, we saw him in the Premier League last season.
Yeah, I think it's just too early. I think it's a big. Going from the Championship to like starting at international level is a bit fucking much. Like, I would like to see him if he could go to a club that isn't likely to get relegated. Like, let's say a top 10, one of those teams you mentioned, the top 10 now. If one of them was to sign him for Burnley and he was to play well for them,
so we can really see.
I don't think it doesn't really make sense to even have him in the
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I actually bet, but like, it wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea were to maybe try and go in for him in the summer.
Absolutely.
English goalkeeper, young, build. Hopefully, they're gonna say he'll be our number 1 for the next X amount of years to come. Even though they've got Kepa to come back as well, but I don't know if he'll stay. But it wouldn't surprise me if they went in for Trafford.
No, it wouldn't at all, and he would probably be their best goalkeeper.
Yeah, and at a club like Chelsea, you know, Sky could be the limit. I don't know if he'll. You know, I didn't see anyone ever reaching Petr Cech's like clean sheet record. Man, that guy was just in the Premier League. That was a joke. But and then like just like the goals conceded in like one season, those records. You know that was just mad. But
it's very rare a goalie will play for like two really good teams that are like in the same country as well. Do you know what I mean? It's very rare that they sign for a rival club. Like, but he was a very unique, unbelievably good goalkeeper that had a very unique circumstance happen at the same time, you know? Yeah,
literally. He's the one that started off the helmet thing, and that was the first incident that happened. That was all mad. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for joining me on this week's episode of the Top Cinco Pod, brother. And I will be seeing you again, I am pretty sure, very soon. Before I leave you guys, don't forget to like, follow, share and subscribe, and that's at Top Cinco Pod. At Top Cinco Pod, and that is literally on YouTube, that is on TikTok, and that is on Instagram as well. Show love. Thank you. Good evening.